From Nate Diaz being under fire yet again due to his problematic record, to adding to the woes of his legal team, here's how Dana White and Conor McGregor react to Nate Diaz choking out Logan Paul. Keeping up with his problematic record, Diaz is in the spotlight yet again. This time, it's for choking out a man in the streets of New Orleans. The UFC champ is no stranger to controversy, having built an entire career out of it. But this time, he's facing some serious charges. He's previously made headlines plenty of times for his aggressive callouts, facing long bans due to failed drug tests, and his ability to pick a fight almost anywhere. But what exactly happened? Well, the former UFC star was at the Misfits 6 boxing event at the Zula Convocation Center to show support for his teammate Chris Avila. But he went way out of line when he was seen getting into a scuffle with a man, knocking him unconscious. All of this has been caught on camera. Although the entire UFC community was shook at first, thinking it was Logan Paul motionless on the pavement. The man was later identified as social media personality Rodney Peterson. The weird part is that the guy bears a striking resemblance to Logan Paul, even though his Instagram handle is not Logan Paul, although that didn't do him any favors in the end. So was this whole thing just a coincidence, or did the MMA artist pick a fight with him on purpose? That won't be surprising since Diaz is known for his brawls. Not to mention, there's also the upcoming Jake Paul vs. Diaz bout, so he's trying to put down two brothers within a couple of months. Won't be the most absurd thing he's ever done. Meanwhile, the 34-year-old lookalike has a fighting background himself. The TikTok star is a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and is currently a trainee at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu in Omaha. But to call it a fight would be a huge overstatement. It was way too underwhelming for that. According to video footage, Peterson can be seen approaching Diaz as people fight all around them. As things suddenly escalated, the UFC fighter landed a knee strike to his body during a clinch and got the social media star into a guillotine choke before dropping him to the ground, lights out. Throwing the problematic part to the side here, that was pretty impressive. Two quick movements and the fully grown man was totally unconscious. After he woke up and grasped what had happened, he was understandably enraged. In a video posted by Overflow on Twitter, Peterson seemed to have a gruesome head injury with blood smeared across his neck. The police also reported that Peterson was found bleeding from the rear of his head. So I don't know what the hell I did to Nate Diaz, but I tell you what, I'm going to knock him the fuck out when I know he's coming. You caught me off guard, dude. What do you think I was, Logan? According to the 34-year-old, he was taken aback by the former welterweight's sudden action moves. Not to mention, he has no clue what he did to provoke him like that. And now, he has a score to settle. Either way, the news is spread like wildfire, and the former star's already tainted reputation has taken another big hit. The UFC community has some pretty mixed feelings about the whole thing. While some have mocked Diaz and branded him a clown, others have taken a more lighthearted approach to it. While watching the video, everyone, including Dana White, thought it was actually Logan. That's how alike the two look. After being shown the footage by popular streamer Aiden Ross, the UFC president had to be told otherwise. After he realized it was just a look-alike, he stated that seeing how hard Peterson was hit, Diaz was going to have a major lawsuit coming his way. On the other hand, the Stockton native's UFC rival Conor McGregor thought the situation was hilarious. Chiming in with his thoughts on Twitter, the Irishman was entertained by his actions. But that's not surprising since his record isn't something to lead by. He has a reputation for getting into fights wherever he goes. He commented that the 38-year-old had been on a rampage recently. However, he also mentioned that Diaz, or anyone else, could never do that to him. He'd easily overpower them in a clinch. But the most awaited reaction of all was one of the Paul brothers themselves. There's no way they were going to miss out on a chance to take a shot at their rival. Making fun of the former UFC champion, they posted a video on Twitter mockingly explaining how to survive a run-in with him, especially if you're a Paul lookalike. In the video, Jake plays a shaky imitation of Diaz, jokingly introducing the audience to his self-defense class. The scenario? What to do if a homeless Stockton man confronts you in the middle of the streets. With Logan acting as the victim, he acted out the move Diaz pulled on Peterson before pulling out a safety snorkel, which Logan applies before running away. Take notes, Logan lookalikes. But jokes aside, while a street fight may not seem like such a big deal, Diaz may be in serious trouble. After the incident, the fighter was charged with second-degree battery, with the New Orleans police putting out a warrant for his arrest. In the state of Louisiana, that's a felony that's punishable by up to 8 years in prison, in addition to a fine of $2,000. If this ends up being the case, the 38-year-old may very well say goodbye to his career. However, he wasn't taken into custody at once and willingly turned himself in after a couple of days and was granted bail on a $10,000 bond. This may very well be self-sabotage, since Diaz has also thrown his upcoming bout with Jake Paul into jeopardy overnight. The two were supposed to compete on August 5th, and being highly anticipated as the biggest fight of the year, everyone was looking forward to the bout. But with the former welterweight champion's legal issues on the rise, he's already made way for KSI to step in as his replacement. Besides that, it wasn't even Diaz's first fight of the night. The free agent has a beef with everyone. Although what started the whole mess is still unknown, he got into yet another brawl with the reality TV star turned boxer Chase D'Amour after he chucked a bottle at him at the Misfits event. While the 38-year-old was eventually escorted out of the building due to his antics, the tussle spilled out onto the streets and turned into a whole street fight. Barely out of his first one, Diaz went headfirst into his second fight. Apparently, Peterson was a part of D'Amour's team, which went head-to-head with Diaz's team after the match. According to MMA Fighting's Damon Martin, Rodney was the one who approached Diaz, which led to the UFC fighter pulling out his MMA moves. Since the altercation, both D'Amour and Peterson are pissed off and have even challenged Diaz to a fight. While the TikToker has promised to knock him out the next time he sees him, the too-hot-to-handle star has called him out, challenging him to spend a total of 5 minutes with him inside a cage. I mean, I get their frustration, but Diaz is called one of the scariest MMA fighters for a reason. Both D'Amour and Peterson are amateurs, if even that. The UFC champion's legal team has stepped in to take control of the situation. His lawyer has revealed that the team has been in touch with the police about the arrest warrant. His representative, Zach Rosenfield, also confirmed that they'd been communicating with the authorities about the situation. So what argument are they leading with? Well, apparently the fighter acted in self-defense during a street brawl with the Paul lookalike. According to Rosenfield, Peterson was the one to blame. He intentionally took part in the scuffle to face Diaz. He also mentioned that the fighter's attorney would be clearing up everything about the incident with the district attorney. He'd lay down all the facts and prove that the TikTok star, who was a trained fighter, pursued Nate with the intention of engaging him. After that, his reaction was entirely in self-defense, and hence, he can't be punished. Besides that, his representative has refused to make any further comments. However, many fans don't think that's how it played out. Some people have even gone as far as to suggest that Diaz attacked Peterson on purpose. The rivalry between the two is old news, since the two brothers and the former star have openly hate-watched each other ever since the influencers entered combat sports. And although, weirdly, Diaz attacked the one guy who looks like his enemy, it's still a bit of a stretch. He may be an extremely problematic person, but there are only so many blows your career can take before the consequences get very real and very permanent. He'll be appearing for his court hearing on June 27th at 3 p.m. local time, so his future as a free agent completely depends on the verdict he'll receive. If Diaz loses this case, the fans may very well be waving goodbye to another UFC legend. From adding to the woes of his legal team to being under fire yet again due to his problematic record, this was how Dana White and Conor McGregor reacted to Nate Diaz choking out Logan Paul.